the Crest Volant, the name of this beautiful part of the scenery of the French continent. New recruit to the Ford Rally team, Armin Schwarz, talks about the new Escort and its potential for 1997 honours.
We are going back to the World Championship, what I was looking forward the whole last season. And we start with Monte Carlo, and then we have another 13 events, so it's altogether 14, which keeps us very busy.
When came the idea up to you to try to get in the Ford factory team?
Well, we have been discussing that for a couple of years, but never it works out that I could drive for Ford. And I mean, this year it was a quite good arrangement from the middle of the season. We talked about it and we got everything together before I actually won the European Championship, and that was probably a good spirit for me.
Engineer Philip Dunabin tells us about it.
There's a number of changes in various areas, the suspension, the engine, and of course some of the things that you see most significantly from the outside, the bodywork and the aerodynamics. The front end of the car has changed in terms of its appearance, because we have a new front bumper with revised aerodynamics in the front bumper. We've got revised front wheel arches. We have revised rear wheel arches, which don't really show very much on this car. And we also have a new rear aerofoil design. So you see those things quite clearly from the outside. Underneath the surface, there are a number of changes as far as the engine's concerned, with new turbocharger, intercooler, inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, and so on. And underneath the car at the rear, we have a completely new rear suspension system. We have a new rear subframe and a McPherson system instead of the semi-trailing arm system which we had on last year's car.
So, although the car looks substantially similar on the outside, we see here that it is very different under the skin. Schwarz has to start from scratch to sort out, during intensive tests, the changes that will be necessary to make the right settings for the rallies. We ride with the German star to see how it's done. The 3-camera setup allows us to see outside, the movement of the wheel and the feet at the same time. Left foot braking. And constant throttle work.
This car is completely different to drive than the Toyota what I had before, also completely different than to any other car what I have driven before. It's much more efficient, much more straight. That World Rally car, the Ford Escort, it's a more like a race car type, and you don't need to play so much for the car, and it's turning in easier, so it makes it a bit easier for the driver, and you don't need to have such a spectacular style to get around the corner.
It's testing morning, noon and night, from early morning till late in the evening, with the mechanics preparing the lights for testing in the dark. This testing of the Escort only started in late November of '96, so the team is running against the clock all the time to get the data they require. Constant checking and monitoring of tyres, brakes and suspension. And an interchange between engineer and driver. This is part of the hard and less glamorous work of preparing a car for the World Rally Championship. The next day at 7:30 in the morning, the team starts again for the second day of testing in the snow. On every run, it's a change of tyres, a change of suspension. All these results going to be used by Armin and his teammates on the Monte Carlo Rally. So, with Carlo still to test, what does Dunabin think of his new man?
I mean, it's very interesting. He's got a very good approach to doing his testing. He's very thorough about what he does, keeps very careful notes, and he's got a very good understanding of the car from a technical point of view. So it makes it much easier for the engineers to work with somebody who has that sort of approach, which is more in keeping with the way the engineers would work.
Tyres, 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 checking them precisely after each run. Michelin present with a whole stock of them. If it's not tyres, it's suspension. How has Armin adapted to the demands of the new car?
The only difficult thing for me is I have no experience with the car, so everything what we are doing here is just to find a direction that I'm learning by doing. I mean, changing parts and pieces in the suspension, and just to see how the car is reacting and which way it reacts, what we can use or what I can use for my driving. And so we have gone through a process of trying a lot of different items on the car, which has been, I mean, on and off for the whole day, but it was a learning process and it went so far quite good.
Only time will tell whether Armin has been successful in setting the car up to face the opposition in the 1997 World Rally Championship.